Have you ever experienced that incredibly specific moment, usually right around 2 in the afternoon, where you just completely hit a wall? You know exactly what I'm talking about, right? Your brain suddenly fogs up, your motivation just completely vanishes into thin air, and honestly, you feel an overwhelming urge to just crawl right under your desk and close your eyes. We all experience it. We all joke about needing that extra cup of coffee. But it turns out that sluggish feeling you're experiencing is far more dangerous than just being a little tired at your desk. It's actually a profound biological event. And understanding it, well, it's the ultimate key to outsmarting your own biology. Okay, let's dive into this, because what we're about to uncover will completely change how you structure your entire day.
To really grasp the stakes here, I want you to imagine the absolute deadliest hospital in the world. Picture a medical center where the conditions are, frankly, completely terrifying. In this specific place, as the data highlights, patients are significantly more likely to receive a fatal dose of anesthesia. They are demonstrably more likely to pass away within 48 hours of a routine surgery. And honestly, it gets even worse. The caregivers and nurses working in this hospital are actually far less likely to do something as basic as wash their hands before treating you. Plus, the doctors are noticeably more likely to completely miss cancerous growths during routine screenings. It sounds like an absolute total nightmare of a facility, right? You'd probably warn every single person you care about to stay as far away from this place as humanly possible.
So, naturally, that begs a rather obvious, burning question. Where exactly is this deadly hospital located? Is it in some remote, underfunded corner of the globe? Is it just poorly managed? Take a second and really think about where such a consistently dangerous medical facility could possibly exist in the modern world.
Well, here is the absolutely terrifying truth. This isn't a single isolated hospital. It's literally every hospital. It's located in your town, in my town, and in the most prestigious, well-funded medical centers around the entire world. These massive spikes in catastrophic medical errors happen everywhere. But here's the catch. They only happen during a very specific window of time, between 1 p.m. and 4 p.m. in the afternoon. What we are looking at here isn't a failure of a specific location or a specific staff. It is a profound, undeniable biological reality that essentially takes the human brain hostage every single afternoon.
And this brilliantly illustrates that this phenomenon goes way, way beyond just the medical field. The data we have is incredibly striking. When researchers dug into 4 whole years of data from standardized tests taken by students in Denmark, a crystal clear pattern emerged. Now, because of a random computer shortage, these students were forced to take their tests at all different times of the day. The results? Students who tested in the early morning hit their absolute peak performance. But as you look later into the day, there is a significant, undeniable drop in their scores during the afternoon. For literally every hour later in the day they took the test, their cognitive ability fell straight down on the charts. It's the exact same drop in mental performance that causes those top-tier doctors to misread medical charts.
Section 1. Your biological clock explained. Let's look at the science behind this mystery.
So, what is exactly going on inside our brains to cause this massive drop in competence? The core culprit here is your circadian rhythm. Think of it as your body's internal biological master clock. And it does way more than just tell you when it's time to go to bed. It is the master controller behind the scenes. It regulates your hormones, your body temperature, your blood pressure, and, most importantly for our conversation today, your mental alertness over a 24-hour cycle. When it's time to sleep, this clock signals your body to release melatonin. When it's time to wake up, it essentially shuts that melatonin valve off and pumps out cortisol to get you up and moving. It is constantly, quietly adjusting the dials on your energy levels all day long.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how visually clear it makes your actual day. We all tend to fall into this trap of thinking we should function at 100%, perfectly flat all day long. But biologically, that's impossible. Our cognitive abilities are not a flat line. As you can see, we hit a peak in the late morning. That's when we're sharpest. But then comes that dreaded afternoon dip, a massive physiological crash in our alertness. And then, surprisingly enough, we see this early evening rebound, where we actually catch a second wind before finally winding down for the night.
So, the really big, important takeaway here is that this dip, this foggy window between roughly 1 p.m. and 4 p.m. is completely 100% natural. It typically hits us right about 7 hours after we wake up. I really want you to hear this. This is not a personal failure on your part. You are not lacking discipline, and you aren't just being lazy. It is a strictly biological occurrence orchestrated by your circadian rhythm. It's the exact reason why life-threatening mistakes skyrocket in hospitals, why standardized test scores plummet, and why you find yourself staring blankly at your glowing computer screen at 2:30 in the afternoon. Section 2. Habits that make it worse. Because while biology is powerful, our choices matter. However, Just because this slump is natural doesn't mean we are completely off the hook. While every single human has this biological trough, our own daily habits can dramatically amplify it. We can easily turn a mild, manageable dip into an absolute, crippling crash. The absolute biggest offender? Suboptimal sleep. This is the ultimate rookie mistake we all make. So many of us try to hack our productivity by cutting back on our sleep just to squeeze a few more working hours into the day. But the psychological reality is that insufficient sleep severely reduces your baseline mental alertness. It makes focusing incredibly difficult, which ironically means your work actually takes much longer to complete. You might be awake for more hours, sure, but you are functioning suboptimally. When you bring a heavy sleep deficit into your afternoon slump, you are literally pouring gasoline on a fire. That natural biological dip, it becomes a massive crater.
The second massive mistake we make happens right in the middle of the day, our lunch. If you eat a really heavy meal loaded with simple carbs, like a massive sandwich, a huge bowl of pasta, or one of those giant sugary coffees, you immediately spike your blood glucose. You'll get a tiny, fleeting burst of temporary energy, but it is always immediately followed by a violent crash. If you combine a lunch-induced sugar crash with your natural circadian afternoon slump, you are basically creating an irresistible, overwhelming urge to sleep. You just can't fight it. To actually survive the slump, you have to eat a balanced meal of protein, healthy fats, and fiber that sustains your energy and prevents your body from having to do a massive amount of lethargic digestion right when your brain is already powering down.
Section 3. The perfect afternoon break. Let's look at how we actually fix this.
So we know exactly what causes the slump, and we know what makes it worse. But can we actually hack this biological clock? Can we reverse this inevitable cognitive decline? Let's go back to those Danish students for a second, because the researchers found something absolutely incredible in that data. The students who took a 20 to 30-minute break to eat, play, and just chat right before their afternoon test didn't just stop their scores from dropping. Their scores actually increased. Now, in our modern go-go-go hustle culture, stepping away from your desk is so often labeled as being lazy or unproductive. We trick ourselves into thinking we just need to grind and power through it. But the data proves the exact opposite is true. Sticking with a difficult task for too long leads straight to mental fatigue. Deliberate, intentional breaks literally reverse that fatigue and drastically boost your performance.
So the crucial point is how you actually take that break, because it definitely can't just be sitting there scrolling on your phone at your desk. That doesn't count. Here are the 4 exact steps for a truly restorative break. Step 1, detachment. You must completely intentionally stop thinking about work. Step 2, movement. Science shows that taking a 5-minute walk every hour is actually far better for your brain than taking one long walk at the end of the day. Step 3, get outside. Natural sunlight and a physical change of your environment physically force your brain to reset. And finally, step 4, company. Chatting with someone you genuinely like completely recharges your social battery. Though a quick important caveat here. If you're a heavy introvert or your job requires a ton of social interaction, spending this time entirely alone might actually be the better move for you.
Section 4. How to nap correctly. Yes, napping is a science.
Now, if you are lucky enough to be working from home, or maybe you have an incredibly progressive office environment, there is a second, highly effective strategy to completely neutralize the afternoon slump. 10 to 20. That right there is the magic number. A quick 5-minute nap doesn't really do anything for you, but research absolutely proves that a 10 to 20-minute nap is the ultimate biological sweet spot. Napping in this very specific, tightly controlled window has been scientifically shown to increase your mental alertness for 3 whole hours afterward. It is quite literally like hitting a biological reset button on your brain.
But there is a massive warning label attached to this, and honestly, it's exactly why so many people confidently claim that they just can't nap. If you sleep for longer than 20 minutes, you run headfirst into a wall called sleep inertia. This is that horrible, groggy, totally disoriented feeling you get when you wake up from a deep stage of sleep. It feels like you don't even know what year it is. If you nap for 45 minutes, you will wake up feeling 10 times worse than you did before you laid down. So you have to set an alarm. And a good trick here is to think of it not as going to sleep, but simply as a 15-minute relaxing mental detachment, where you just close your eyes and let your brain completely disconnect for a moment.
Section 5. Scheduling for peak performance. Let's make this practical for your daily life. Let's move to and see how this builds into our final strategy, smart task scheduling. Look, I hear you. Not everyone can just disappear for a sunny walk outside or take a quick nap in the middle of a bustling, busy office at 2 in the afternoon. If your workplace absolutely demands that you stay at your desk, how do you survive the deadliest time of day? Well, if you can't change your biology, you have to change your workload. Your morning, when your cognitive abilities are naturally at their absolute peak, should be ruthlessly protected for your most important, difficult tasks that require high concentration.
Save your afternoon slump, that dangerous 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. window, for familiar, mundane, easy tasks that you can practically do on autopilot. We're talking about replying to basic emails, organizing your files, or simple data entry. Match the right task to the right biological time, and you easily prevent those catastrophic mistakes we talked about at the very beginning.
We've seen the hard data. We know beyond a shadow of a doubt that the slump is incredibly real, and we know exactly when it's coming for us. So I want to leave you with this thought-provoking question. Knowing your own brain's natural biological limits, how will you reorganize tomorrow's calendar to outsmart your biology? It is time to stop hopelessly fighting your circadian rhythm and start intelligently designing your life around it. Take that deliberate break, manage your lunch choices, and consciously shift those difficult, heavy tasks to your morning block. Trust me, your brain and your long-term productivity will absolutely thank you. Start making these tiny shifts today rather than waiting for some magical burst of motivation tomorrow. Thanks so much for joining me for this deep dive, and I'll see you next time.